In September of 2015, the Bangor Maine Gun Show hosted an unusual exhibitor. Not the typical dealer. This, in fact, was the Maine Citizens Against Handgun Violence, a hardcore gun control group currently wearing sheep's clothing. At Gun Owners of Maine, we thought maybe it would be a good idea to have a chat with them. I spoke with Dave Witham, a volunteer for the group.
But we are volunteer members of the group, and we're just pursuing again our goals of having universal background checks for our weapons purchases.
How have you found that's been received here today?
Fairly well. People are curious, and I know at least one person says that he is in favor of it.
Let me ask you this. You've mentioned several times now that you support the Second Amendment. What form does that take? Because what I'm hearing that you support certain restrictions on that right. How do you see this right actually plays out for people?
Well, I think anyone who does not have a criminal record, who doesn't have a record of mental instability or mental problems, mental disability, should be able to purchase a weapon, and while undergoing a background check. I know that at the gun show here, those checks have been instituted, I believe. There are, from what I understand, there are online sales, other sales at certain gun shows across the country, perhaps private purchases made through Uncle Henry's, in which background checks are not
You realize
made.
that all online sales do have to go through licensed dealers and do have a background check, correct?
What kind of purchases again? That's online?
Online sales.
Online
internet
sales. That wasn't my understanding. That's
Since
something
1968, yes, all interstate commerce and arms must be through federal firearms dealers. Do you feel that missing out on something as basic as that maybe undermines your position at all?
Well, my understanding, I'll have to double check that. My understanding.
You can take my word on that.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely look into it. Some illegal sales have been done through online sales.
Well, criminals do illegal things.
Right.
They will likely also ignore a universal background check law because they're, criminals.
Right.
Do you expect that criminals will obey a universal background check law?
Probably not.
How will you compel them to obey it?
Yeah, probably looking to avoid it, I would think.
So this law would only affect the people that you're not targeting, is that correct?
People that we're not targeting.
That is, you want to target the criminals and the mentally ill, but you just said that the criminals and mentally ill will avoid this law.
Probably try to, yeah, I would assume that they would.
What would stop them?
Well, I guess, yeah, the best way, well, it's a real problem. Trying to have people who are going to purchase weapons illegally.
It is hard to get criminals to obey the law, isn't it? That's been something that mankind has been dealing with for millennia. Just to wrap up, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but again, I see that gun safety is also one of your major interests here, and it is of ours too. I mean, we're Gun Owners of Maine, and that's a major part of our mission. I wonder if you could tell us perhaps the 3 rules of gun safety that every gun owner here knows.
Yeah, never point a gun at another person. Never point it at another person. Person. Make sure. Assume that the gun is loaded. If it isn't, assume the gun is loaded. Those are the 2 that I'm most familiar with.
Okay, well, that's not a bad start.
Yeah, a third, I'd have to think about it. I could probably come up with it.
All right, well, thank you very much. And again, could I get your name just one more time?
Sure. Dave Witham.
Dave. Okay,
Witham.
Dave. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today.
And Todd, nice meeting you.